call the meeting to order this evening. Good evening. It is November the 5th, Wednesday at 7 p.m., and this is our regular meeting of the Ottawa City Commission. Could we have the roll call, please?
Mayor Reed.
Present.
Commissioner Skidmore.
Present.
Commissioner Jorgensen.
Present.
Commissioner Dickinson.
Present.
Commissioner Kaler.
Present.
Okay, we are all present and accounted for. I would like to welcome everyone who's in the room this evening and also those that are listening on the radio or watching on the Government Access Channel. We are going to begin the meeting this evening with the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we'll have an invocation which this evening will be led by Scott Bird, our Director of Finance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The Word of God says, I stand at the door and knock, and if anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come in. Let's pray. Lord God in heaven, we ask, we hear your voice, and we ask that you come in this evening and be part of these proceedings. Guide us in all that we say and do, and may you be glorified. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Scott. The first thing on our agenda this evening is the consent agenda, and that does include minutes from the September 8th, the 15th, the 22nd, and 29th, October 1st, and those are all study sessions, as well as the minutes from the September 17th and October 6th regular meetings. And it would also include our agenda, so do I hear a motion?
Madam Mayor,
Commissioner,
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
is there a second?
Second that.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, the consent agenda has been approved. Do we have anyone registered this evening for public comments
We don't have anyone registered for public comments, but one would like to speak
during that,
during
when
the
that item is
public
called?
hearing.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay, I might go ahead and read our comment then for public comments. Persons who wish to address the City Commission regarding items on the agenda may do so as that agenda item is called. Persons who wish to address the City Commission regarding items not on the agenda and that are under the jurisdiction of the City Commission may do so at this time when called upon by the mayor. Comments on personnel matters and matters pending in court or with other outside tribunals are not permitted. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes, and any presentation is for information purposes only. No action will be taken. So at this time, I'd like to give commissioners a chance to declare any conflict or any communication they've had that might influence their ability to consider this evening's issues impartially. Anyone? Okay, thank you. Then we will move right on to new business. Item number 10, please.
A proclamation to recognize a new United States citizen.
And I'm going to make some personal comments here. This person that we're going to be honoring this evening actually is an employee that works for me, and so I've known her since she came to the ground of the United States. So I take this very close to my heart. So this is for Wenceslita Nerera. We call her Wang, and the proclamation reads as follows. Whereas Wenceslita Nerera was sworn in as a United States citizen on September 19, 2014 in Topeka, Kansas. And whereas Wang was born in Davao City, Philippines, and came to the United States on June 10th of 2003 on a working H-1B visa. And whereas Wang got her permanent residence status, or her green card, in February of 2009, and whereas Wang pledges to support and uphold the Constitution of the United States of America, and whereas Wang has the freedom to pursue life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness as a United States citizen, and now therefore the governing body of the city of Ottawa, Kansas, does hereby welcome Wang Nerera as a new United States citizen, and by this official decree hereby proclaims November 5th, 2014 as Wenceslita Nerera Day, adopted this 5th day of November 2014. So Wang, if you'd like to come and receive this certificate, this proclamation. And you gotta look at the camera here to feel it. And you are welcome to use the podium, the speaker there. Say a few words to us. But yeah, just step up to the microphone there. You might have to adjust it a bit.
Can you
You can pull it down a little. There you go.
Thank you very much. This is quite an honor. I have known a lot of Filipino friends who have been naturalized, but they never got to get their own day. This is very special. Thank you very much. And when I was naturalized on September 19, I thought that was it. I'm already an American, and you know, it's that's it. Like that's the ultimate thing. But it wasn't. Yesterday, I finally exercised the right and duty of an American by voting, and it feels so good. It feels so good. Like I felt like it was it kind of sealed the deal. You know, I felt like really American. And whenever people, 10 years ago, we were featured in Ottawa Herald because we were the first alien worker of Ransom Memorial Hospital. And that really made us so feel welcome by the community because they were interested to know our story, how we get there, where we're coming from. So it was really, really nice. And I've been here for 11 years. And some patients will ask me, where are you from? Philippines. How did you come here? Work, kind of like that. And then they'll say, why Ottawa? And I was like, why did you choose Ottawa? I said, I did not. I was chosen by Ottawa. I was chosen by work, kind of. I got Linda interviewed me over the phone through an agency. And so looking back, I never regret a single day being here in Ottawa. I've never felt so safe. Like it's different when you're coming from a small country, very far away from home, and I live by myself. All those 11 years I've been here, live all by myself, but I always felt safe. Like it's always safe. You know, I live in a street where probably every 2 hours I can see a police cruiser, you know. But I was like, oh, that's nice. Like I will just, oh, it's a police. It's okay. Like it made me feel so safe living here, and I really like the community. It's so welcoming. When I first went to my church in Sacred Heart, I felt so welcome, like they welcome us, you know, like really, really feel welcome. And it's so important for an immigrant like me, away from home, coming in here, seeking for a greener pasture. Of course, you know that why people come in here, so we can help our family back home. And it's really, really important when you come to a strange place, you know, like you're a stranger, and people welcome you with open arms. And that's what I really felt in this community. Like even going to Walmart, people will say, hi, how are you? Yeah, nice. People are really nice. And I will tell you one story. I went to Las Vegas just recently, and I stopped by it's not Walmart, it's Target. I stopped at the walkway because I have to arrange the kid that I was bringing in, and somebody behind me said, who stops in a walkway? And I was like, oh, it's like, I do that every time in Ottawa Walmart. Nobody said like that to me. So
You're not in Kansas anymore.
yeah, so I'm just happy that God gave me a job here where, you know, it gave me, if I will decide to go somewhere else, this is really a nice place to learn, you know, like stay in America. Like people like you in this community are the reason why people wants to come here in America. And I really, really thank you, and especially to Linda Ridge. She's kind of she's a boss in the hospital. She's my boss, but kind of like my mentor and guide me through everything. Everybody, all the Filipinos that are working in the lab, Linda has been very, very helpful, and also all the people in the hospital are really, really, you know, helpful to us. So I think I already passed 3 minutes. I'm glad it's not like Oscar where you start, you know. Thank you really very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We were all very excited when she got to vote yesterday, too, so we were hoping she would do a selfie, but I think that's illegal, so we didn't. We didn't encourage her to do that. So we will move on to item number 11.
Industrial Park temporary note bid opening.
City Financial Advisor David Arterberry of George K. Baum and Associates will report on the bids which were opened this morning related to the issuance of $2 million of temporary notes for the purpose of purchasing industrial park property.
Good evening. In front of you, you should have a bid tabulation sheet. We did receive bids today for the $2 million of temporary notes for the industrial park. If you recall, when I was here last time, I was talking about the fact that since this was a bigger note, and the interest on this note is not tax exempt like a typical municipal note issue, I felt that we needed to expand the market for these notes. So instead of simply offering them to local banks, we expanded it and offered it to the general municipal market. And I'm real pleased with the results that we ended up getting. As you can see on that sheet, there's a total of 6 bidders on the notes. The best bid, the bank that was offering to purchase these with the lowest overall interest cost to the city, was submitted by Country Club Bank. And their net interest cost, you can see it over on that right-hand column there, was 1.122564%. That's for a 2-year temporary note. The next closest bid was very, very close, and it was submitted by UMB Bank. All of the bids were reviewed, and they're all mathematically correct, and they all meet the bidding parameters. The best bid was informally awarded to Country Club Bank, subject to your approval now. And Country Club Bank has submitted the necessary good faith deposit. So everything turned out really well. We're real pleased with the results, and I see no reason you wouldn't want to accept the bid by Country Club Bank.
Are there any questions for Mr. Arterberry or any comments at this point? Okay, thank you very much. What that will do is move us on to item number 12. I'll let Carolyn read that, and then we'll explain.
Actually, we should have a motion to accept the low bid.
Okay, because I didn't know if we were going to include that in 12, so we need a separate motion to accept the low bid and then go ahead and do the resolution. Okay.
Yes, Madam Mayor, I'll make that motion that we accept the bid from Country Club Bank.
Is there a second?
Second.
So it's been moved and seconded to go ahead and accept a low bid to Country Club Bank at an interest, well, I guess a net interest cost of $43,780. Is there any discussion? Could we have the vote, please?
How do you vote, Commissioner Skidmore?
Yes.
Commissioner Jorgensen?
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Kaler?
Yes.
Mayor Reed?
I vote yes, the motion carries. So then that does move us to item number 12.
I'll turn it over to Dottie Riley to walk you through the last step.
Okay.
to issue the notes.
We'll let Carolyn read what this particular item is, if that's okay. Carolyn, do you mind?
No, that's fine. A resolution authorizing the issuance and delivery of $2 million principal amount of general obligation temporary notes, Series 2014-2, taxable under federal law of the City of Ottawa, Kansas, for the purpose of providing interim financing for acquiring land for a new industrial park.
And Dottie will go into this, but under our comments, this resolution does authorize the issuance and delivery of $2 million of City of Ottawa temporary notes, the proceeds of which will be used by the city for the purpose of purchasing industrial park property. So Dottie.
Good evening, and I'll be very brief. Dottie Riley with Q-Tech Rock, the city's bond counsel. The resolution, as you described, authorizes the issuance of the notes. It contains all of the terms and details of the note issue, maturity schedule, when the notes can be redeemed earlier, interest rates, identifies the purchaser. These are taxable under federal law. The interest on these is taxable, so you do not have to worry about the standard kind of covenants you'd have to with a tax-exempt issue. The notes, though, because it's for an issue over $1 million, you are subject to certain what are referred to as continuing disclosure requirements, which simply means providing certain financial and operating data to the marketplace on an annual basis, which you've been doing for quite a while for your other outstanding obligations, so this will just be added to the list, as well as notifying the marketplace if there would be certain events happening with respect to these notes, such as if you decided to call them earlier. You just have to notify the marketplace. So if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions for Dottie?
Well, I guess, Dottie, yeah, why is it they are taxable? I mean, I was thinking they were not, but,
They're taxable because you're using this to acquire land that you anticipate selling to a private party.
okay.
That's what you would want to have happen here, to have that land develop for private uses rather than for governmental uses.
Okay.
So the
purpose.
tax exemption is, generally limited to kind of purely governmental
Government, yes.
purposes.
Okay, I see.
Any other questions or comments? Scott, Mr. Byrd?
Yes. I want to apologize to the governing body because I misled you on Monday, reflecting on the taxable aspect of this. So
Okay.
I just spent 2 hours talking to new city clerks, trying to help them understand how important it is to be accurate, and then I come home and find out. So I do apologize to the governing body.
Not a problem, apology accepted. Okay, well then, at this time, I would entertain a motion for this resolution.
Madam Mayor,
Commissioner Killer.
I move that we approve the resolution authorizing the issuance and delivery of $2 million of general obligation temporary notes.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the resolution as stated in item 12. Is there any discussion? If not, could we have the vote, please?
How do you vote, Commissioner Jorgensen?
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Kaler?
Yes.
Commissioner Skidmore?
Yes.
Mayor Reed?
I vote yes, and motion carries. Kind of some history made with this vote, so thank you very much, all of you, for that. So that will move us to item 13.
A public hearing for the purpose of considering condemnation of a single-family mobile home and accessory structure on the property located at 115 South Poplar.
This public hearing has been called for the consideration of the condemnation of a single-family mobile home and accessory structure located at 115 South Poplar. City staff will present the details of this request for condemnation. At this point, I will open the public hearing. And Mrs. Lee, were we going to do one public hearing and take action and then another?
That's how we have it slated, but
Okay.
it's your discretion. So we just would do one hearing, then you can consider the action on that, because if there's testimony given in different ones, you don't have to try and keep straight which one that might be.
And we'll need to close that public hearing then and open a second one for
Yes.
that? Okay, all right,
Yes.
thank you.
Okay, so the first structure that we were going to call the hearing, or hold the hearing about, is 115 South Poplar. Can you all, thank you, Jeff. Can you all see? As you recall, when we've discussed it before, several of the structures on the slate tonight were damaged by fire, either in January or February. This first structure is a mobile home unit damaged in a fire in February. The structure was then posted in Do Not Occupy, communicated or sent a letter. We sent a follow-up letter, sent another letter, and the structure remains vacant. The taxes are delinquent since 2010, and the owner has indicated that they don't have the funds to repair or remove the structure. As with any condemnation action, there are a series of findings that the inspection staff puts on record with you so that you're aware of what they believe is both wrong with the structure and the impact that it may have to any future occupants, if ever in that situation, certainly the neighborhood. So these findings, A through L, are the findings that indicate to us that you should indeed condemn the structure for a variety of different reasons, including that it's not something that someone should be occupied. It has a blighting influence. It can increase the opportunity for fire accidents or additional issues. Lack of ventilation or sanitary or light facilities, and it goes on with disrepair, dilapidation, uncleanliness, etc. We have some pictures to show you here. This is the structure. The walls and siding show some of the fire damage. In addition to this, since that time, the structure's been damaged by wind, rain, and snow, because it has had some open areas or some areas that weren't intended to be covered with that kind of covering. In addition, some of the siding at the bottom of the home has obviously suffered damage and is not protecting the unit that it would need to do in order for it to be occupied and structurally sound. Here's some additional pictures showing some additional damage and deterioration. Here's more. And then here's some of the things about the condition of the property, and some in the previous picture as well, that you can understand are blighting and unsanitary and conditions that wouldn't be very nice to be living next to for any extended period of time. There hasn't been anything done to address those either. With all of those images and with our findings, it is our recommendation that you condemn the structure, order it to be repaired or removed, give the property owner a time to do that. In this case, we don't believe, because the property owners indicated to us that they don't have the funds to do that, that would be the case, but nonetheless, that is the process that we go through when we condemn a structure, is to give them an opportunity to do that. If they fail to do that, which is true for any of these properties, then the city's in a position to take action, to clean it up, remove it, and put a lien on the property to get paid back if at such time in the future the property is sold. In this particular case, given the length of time that the taxes haven't been paid, it's more likely that this would hit a tax sale. But just on that opportunity, then we would in the meantime have a clear lot, not posing a hazard. Are there any questions?
Wendy,
Sir.
this area is on 115 South Poplar. I assume that's zoned in R1 area.
Actually, I think that area may be an R2.
R2, okay.
I'm not looking at the legal description, but go ahead.
Okay.
It's R1 or R2, yes.
Okay. And this is a manufactured home. Is that a conforming use in that area?
No, it would not be.
Okay.
And I can double check that. Let me pull the file open. I'm pretty sure that it's R1 or R2 and it would not be conforming. So it would have a certain period of time if they wanted to put another similar unit on it, and if so, they wouldn't have very long for that. I take it back. According to this sheet, it is zoned in MH. I would just have to
Oh, it
double
is.
check that.
Okay, okay.
According to, we document that at the beginning, so that isn't my memory.
Okay.
I take it back, Commissioner. I'm going to be like Scott. I'm going to tell you I just made an error. The zoning is not labeled here. The use is labeled
I
MH.
see.
I
Okay.
do believe it's either R1 or R2.
Okay.
Typically, on either side of downtown, this far north, it's an R2 district, and so that's what I would suggest it is. If it is in fact an R1 or R2, then a unit would not be allowed to come back unless it comes back within 30 days.
Okay.
That would be the requirement.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have any public comments during this public hearing? Any comments on this property? One last call for comments on this particular public hearing. And I will go ahead and close this public hearing. And at this point, we would move to item 14.
A resolution to condemn an unsafe and dangerous single-family mobile home and accessory structure located at 115 South Poplar in the city of Ottawa, Kansas.
This resolution authorizes this governing body to declare this single-family home and accessory structure located at 115 South Poplar to be unsafe or dangerous, and to direct that such structure be demolished or repaired and made safe and secure. Is there a motion?
Madam Mayor,
Commissioner,
I move to approve the resolution in item 14.
and is there a second?
Second.
It is moved and seconded to approve the resolution to condemn this property at 115 South, or this structure at 115 South Poplar. Is there any discussion? Then could we have the roll call vote, please?
How do you vote, Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Kaler?
Yes.
Commissioner Skidmore?
Yes.
Commissioner Jorgensen?
Yes.
Mayor Reed?
I vote yes, motion carries. Item 15.
A public hearing for the purpose of considering condemnation of a single-family residence and accessory structure on the property located at 731 South Oak.
This public hearing has been called for the consideration of the condemnation of a single-family residence and accessory structure located at 731 South Oak. City staff will present the details of this request for condemnation, and I will open the public hearing at this point.
731 South Oak also was damaged in a fire, this one in January of this year. It as well was posted with a direction not to be occupied until made safe and sound. It hasn't been occupied since that time. The first letter was sent to the property owners in February, the second in May, and the next letter in July indicating that we would consider it for condemnation if action wasn't taken. As I said, the structure's been vacant since that fire. The taxes are delinquent, but only for the 2013 year. Staff had not heard, has not heard from the owner directly, but we did hear from a representative, someone who indicated they represented the property owner. That person indicated to us that they were going to try and put the property up for sale, and that they needed to do it not only because we were taking action, but because the family needed to do that. So, in the meantime, however, nothing has been done to repair it prior to now. In this particular case, the house remains as it was at the fire. It's completely full of debris as well. So the conditions, the findings are the same in this case. These are the ones that we consider by the statute, the findings that you should have considered. We believe the structure to be unsafe, dangerous, and unfit for occupancy at this point, as well as an attractive nuisance and presents a hazard to the public. We are going to look at these pictures as well. In this particular case, we prepared 2 resolutions, the original one that we had for it, and then when we got the call late last week that they were interested in selling it, we prepared a second resolution for your consideration to give them 90 days to try and sell this house. I even talked with Chief Carner about this particular one, and he was comfortable with the delay, given the structure itself can be repaired. It's just going to take some effort to get it cleaned out, and of course, anytime there's a fire, there's damage. But he was comfortable with giving time as well, and I wanted to be able to ask him about that because he has more familiarity, his department having been in it. So, 731 South Oak. You know, it's unoccupied, so it does have some overgrowth. It clearly still has some boarded up windows. At least that is there. You know, sometimes that is part of our concern, is that people have not secured the structure. The structure is secure. Again, there's overgrowth and then debris in the inside. You can tell from at the fire time, as would happen in most fires when a structure is occupied, there is stuff there. This structure also has additional items in it that would need to be addressed before it could be reoccupied. It has an accessory structure. One thing for note in any of these situations, if the house we get to a point where we do have to order demolition of any of the structures, the accessory structures are cleared as well. So sometimes the accessory structures are in really poor shape, not always, but we can't have an accessory structure there without a primary structure. It leads to additional problems. We used to allow that, and we ended up finding those were places that sometimes we ended up with behavior problems or fires, again, additional fires. So we don't do that any longer. So that's the property there, and happy to discuss with you the timing. You know, we just threw out 2 different dates, but they can be whatever time frame you feel comfortable with. It could be a shorter period with an intent to come back if they maybe have got a contract on it, but they haven't closed quite that quickly or something like that as well. But we're comfortable with some additional time on that structure.
Wendy, this is the second structure this evening that we've actually, that you've discussed that it's a result of a fire.
Right.
And so, is it the understanding that on this particular structure and possibly the structure before, that insurance wasn't something that has happened, or
Right.
how does that all work?
I can look in the file,
Yeah.
but as my memory serves, they were not insured.
Okay. So it was uninsured or underinsured,
Right.
and so that's why.
I don't believe we're holding funds for any of these. When there's a property, and I could have looked that up today. It's the first time someone's ever asked me that question, but typically how that works is if there's a fire and there's insurance proceeds to be issued, the city actually, by ordinance, and it's provided for by state law, are allowed to retain funds just in case this does happen. More often, we end up with structures that don't have insurance on them, and those are the ones that we're faced with trying to take action on, because if they have insurance, then they have a better opportunity to solve the problem. If we were retaining funds, then that would actually be used first in any expenses that we would encounter. That's the purpose of the retainage. But I don't believe we're holding funds on any of these 3 or 4.
So that goes
There's
into
three fires.
the second part of my question, which I asked during the study session, and I think that you talked about a little bit with the previous location. If Joe taxpayer, I mean, any of our citizens who are listening who are paying, or tax-paying citizens, this is part of our budget, and so that means that their tax money actually pays if we were to go forward and actually have this house removed and taken down because it is unsafe.
Right.
And so how does the city go about recovering that money so that, I mean, what avenues do we have to recover that money?
First, if we're in the situation where we actually have to remove it, that's obviously the biggest exposure to the city, because it is true that on occasion we have properties that we do a condemnation action on and they repair, and we have absolutely no funding in it except for the calling of the hearing and the notices, and there's administrative fees. And those we just absorb. Those are part of what we do with our budget. If we have to actually expend dollars, and on some structures, I won't say it's true for these, but in the past, to be general, we sometimes do have to board them up. So we may have some nuisance removal or safety precautions that we've had to take. When it comes to the actual demolition, we bid those out so that we can get the lowest bid possible. We order the work to be done. We bill the property owner for the work. If they fail to pay for that in the 30 days that we give them to pay the bill, then we place a lien on the property. If it's a situation like the first one where a lot of the taxes haven't been paid, we may never see those funds. If it's a situation where there's not much else against the property, we may get that money back. And we have, in fact, over the years, at different times, been repaid for the expense of the lien. But we don't always, and that's why we budget a certain amount each year. But let me go a little further though, because the other thing I offered to you all was, but nonetheless, sometimes by removing the structure, we may actually enhance our tax base, because some of the properties around it may be suffering, and particularly if it goes on for any period of time. And some of the properties we've written about, not so much these ones with the fire, but some of those properties have been vacant for a number of years and been a detriment to their neighborhood for a long time, and they can flatten the value of the house and flatten the tax revenue that you then collect. And so sometimes removing it can actually, in its own self, generate income for both the owner and the city and the county and the school district. Okay. Any other questions? So
I'd like to speak.
Yes.
Okay.
Sir, could you come to the microphone, please? And if you're able to just state your name and address, please.
Can we get the lights on?
Yeah, there we go. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm Terry Roberts. I'm Mrs. Roberts' son. We've been in this country right here in Kansas, from Pennsylvania, 150 years. We've always paid our taxes until we became destitute. Why did I become destitute? Is because some fine investors took 100,000 shares from me. Now I only have is Social Security, not $5,000 a month. So my mother is 99 years old. She's a Christian lady, and she got to the point the gas company turned off her gas. So then she got a small electric heater, which caused the fire. The problem was the cord overheated because the house was only rewired 20 years back. So you see, she couldn't be here this evening because she's 99 years old and she's ill.
Right.
Okay? So I appreciate your consideration. All I need is time. I'm an 8-year veteran. I'm one of the last living members of Admiral Nimitz, flight engineer, back in the 50s. So here's the thing. Appreciate consideration. I'm going to tell you what I'm interested in doing.
Okay.
Okay? I'm qualified for a veteran's loan, and I've got a gentleman working on it at this time. So you see, I'll keep you informed, probably every 45 days, okay? And I have a fine engineer and friend. He evaluated the situation in the house. There's only $500 damage structurally to the home, that's it. The rest is just smoke damage. And you understand, a lady, almost 100 years old, okay, she doesn't do her housekeeping like you and I. Yep. So thank you for your time. Appreciate your consideration. I believe this is still America, so we just need a little more time.
Well, we appreciate your comments for sure, and we certainly want to be able to work with you. Do any of the commissioners have any questions for Mr. Roberts? Now, I don't know, for the record, can you just give us your address, just we always record that in the record?
I'm still collecting my mail from 731 South Oak.
Okay.
Okay?
And do you have so you're working on it right now, and do you have an expectation of when you'll be able to make some progress? I mean, as far as what kind of a time frame do you want us to begin
I
with?
just want 1 year
Okay,
and possibly 6 months.
yeah,
But I don't want to cut myself short, okay? So I appreciate a year, and
right,
I'll put her up in tip-top shape. It's got beautiful cedar siding on it. In other words, it's #1 siding, there's no knots,
right.
okay?
Well, and I think Mrs. Lee will address this with us, but I know we just basically want to see that there's progress being made, I believe, and she can help address this as well.
So you are looking to fix it up, not
Yes.
sell it? Because there was a note that it was possibly, but you are looking to personally fix it up?
I'm going to buy it
Okay.
through the VA program.
Okay.
It's interest-free.
That's,
I'm
that
an 8-year veteran,
that clears it up.
okay?
That makes sense.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Appreciate your consideration.
Okay.
Is there any more questions?
I guess, Mr. Roberts, first of all, thank you for your service for our country
Yeah,
also.
for sure.
But I do want to ask, you've been approved.
Thank you, sir.
You've been approved for your VA loan already, or are you in the process of being approved?
I'm in the process now.
Okay. So would you know when you'll find out on the loan approval? Is
Well,
it-
oftentimes our government is, okay, lethargic.
Yeah.
I would love to be able to answer that question. Well, sir, I can't.
Okay.
I don't want to lie to you.
That's all right. Appreciate that.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Are there-
Appreciate you so much.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other public comments as well? Go ahead.
Bob and I were back there talking because while I haven't talked to Mr. Roberts, we thought it might be appropriate for you to continue the hearing for about a month or 2 months even, just to get us past this point so we can, then he can be sure he understands with us what all we need to do, and we can talk and we can come to some arrangement so we can come back and give you a follow-up to that. So there wouldn't be a need to take an action
Okay.
on the resolution, but we'd like you to just hold the hearing open. So in that time, we can have some more conversations, if you're willing to do that, rather than have to go through this at any further point.
And Mr. Beasley, we just do that by consensus. We don't need a
Should
motion
proceed
to
for
leave it
that.
open, right, to continue the hearing?
Yeah, you can.
Just would not close it.
Just continue the hearing and
Okay.
you're good to go.
Are you all okay with that, with just continuing that hearing? Okay, perfect. We will do that then for a matter of 30 days at this point then, so. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Roberts.
Yes, thank you, folks.
Okay, then we will skip item 16, and that will move us to item 17.
A public hearing for the purpose of considering condemnation of a single-family residence and accessory structure on the property located at 935 East 9th.
This public hearing has been called for the consideration of the condemnation of a single-family residence and accessory structure located at 935 East 9th. City staff will present the details of this request for condemnation, and I will open this public hearing.
Okay, unfortunately, this structure also was damaged by fire. Kind of had a bad little spell of that back in the winter this year. And I did double check my notes. This structure, I know didn't have insurance, or at least, and the property owner is here, so he can tell you if that information is not correct. But the structure was damaged in February. The utilities were put on hold. Again, we posted not to be occupied. The communication to the owner, February, March, and July this year. The structure's been vacant since that time. Taxes are delinquent since 2010. They have been in this structure with the property owner to create a list of things that needed to be addressed. So I can tell you a little bit more about that if you want to, but the findings are just a little bit different here. We dropped off at least L, or, well, off one of them. Let's see, I'm not sure exactly which one, because I didn't compare them A to L, but those are the findings relative to this structure. Again, we recommend that the resolution be passed absent some additional information. Here's some of the photos from the fire. And as in any fires, both damage as well as smoke damage, similar to some of the others. In addition, this one has some exterior needs. Relative to its guttering, its walls, and some disrepair. The porch stairs are deteriorated. There's vegetation growing here again as well. We have a shed that has also deteriorated, may have been before, but it's while we're there, and some debris on the site, a dead tree as well. So, and then probably what was a basketball goal, from what we can tell, or maybe even been a patio at some point or another. And so, like I said, with some of the other structures, if we're at the position where we do the bidding out of the work, then we do clear the site to make it so that it's able to be built on without additional issues relative to the site. So, in this particular case, I can tell you that I looked at the letter so that I could be more prepared to tell you what we had communicated with the owner about. Find the right letter. Okay. The violations that were noted specifically about this property, sorry, I just don't have good lighting here, so I can't see very well. The house was damaged, drywall on the first and second floor would have to be removed. Thank you. New electrical service, the house has to be rewired. The flooring on the first and second floors would also have to be replaced, ceilings replaced, all the ductwork, and a new furnace would have to be installed. So that's what we have in our file, and I know the property owner is here.
So do we have any comments during this public hearing?
Yeah, that'd be me.
Okay, if you can just state your name and your address, please.
My name is Greg Hernandez. I live at 204 South Elm here in Ottawa. I want to address one thing at the beginning before I forget. The reason we didn't have, this is an investment property. It was a rental property that I have, and the reason we didn't have insurance is because we are not able to insure it because it had a floor furnace. One of those floor furnaces that convect warm air from in the basement area. So that was our inability to do that. Now, yes, the rental place was not treated correctly by the renters in that they kind of, in the middle of, or toward the end of the winter, they started piggybacking a lot of the wiring and those multiple outlet cords to use unit heaters. I think they had their gas turned off. Without my knowledge, I didn't know anything about this. They did have electric hot water heaters, so they were able to survive in their area with those unit heaters and the hot water heater, and still have hot water. Now, my plan, what we have now is we have financing, I think, lined up. It's not going to be bank, or we're not going out to get a loan or anything. What is going to be family financed. The Hernandez family is a very well-known rental house owners, and we own several houses here in town, and we're going to use some of our benefits from that to rebuild this house. The only disadvantage is, not disadvantage, but the only thing is I'm going to use this house as my home from this point on. For me to make this investment, I need to use this as my home. So it's going to be well done. We're going to spend a lot of money on it, and we're going to get it fixed correctly. As far as bringing down the value of the housing in that area, that's the best house in the area. So it's very unlikely. I mean, that house is surrounded by trailers. So it's very unlike, it's very, it's not depreciating the area. It's going to appreciate it when it gets fixed. Now, the only thing I was waiting for, and I was working fairly closely with Mr. Stiles, Gary Stiles, but I was waiting for bids from contractors to do this, to do my work. Yes, it'll have to be all electrical, and I understand that. I understand all the new plumbing. I understand all of the gyp board and gutting of the entire area, of the entire building. But before I could get written bids from contractors that I could rely on, they wanted me to gut the entire building first. So, but Gary told me that before I make that investment, maybe I'd wait for this hearing so that I can give you an idea, as well as maybe get a little extra time if you decide that for me that I can repair it. So my first option is to repair it, and my first request is to ask to give me a little more time to do that. Like I'm saying, if I make the investment to gut the entire building, which is something similar to what happened to the building on Main Street, the historical building on Main Street, it may take a month and a half, 45 days to get that done. At that time, I'd be able to get contractors in to look at the structure, give me a firm bid, and then go from there. Right now, the verbal bids are running from $25,000 to $40,000. But before I can get somebody to give me a written bid that I can hold them to, they want to look at the structure. So at this point, I'd like more time, and I'd like to be able to talk with somebody, and at least kind of keep you guys in tune with what's happening on this house. And, you know, on these regular meetings, I don't mind coming to. I normally don't attend them because you guys never really see me that often. but when I do, I don't mind, coming in and discussing with you guys.
Okay.
Is there any questions that you have about the house? I wanted to mention too that a lot of those surrounding structures are property of the previous renters. I've been trying to get on them to move it. You know, you see that little tin shed right there?
Mm-hmm.
All of the tires and everything in the back, that's all theirs. And they've been telling me they're going to come and pick it up, but they still haven't yet. So yeah, I need to get them to do that. I mean, and I will get on them right away to get that removed.
Okay.
And as far as trimming around the house, I have no problem as far as getting somebody over there to clean the debris around the house and to cut down the vegetation that may be growing around it. The house itself is very well built. Built in past years where they used very sturdy lumber. There is the only structure that I see maybe have to be reinforced will be going up the stairway, and that was a stairway fire that you had seen in the pictures from the city. So my first priority, of course, if you give me more time, will to get my previous renters to clean up, and I'll get somebody over there to clean the vegetation. And if we want to continue this on a monthly basis or however often you guys meet, I don't mind doing that at all.
Okay. And I forget, Mr. Hernandez,
Yes.
what's the status of the taxes on this property? Are they?
Well, I'm on a kind of like a payment plan, and I don't understand.
Oh,
why-
with the taxes?
Yeah, and I don't understand why it's that far back. I mean, I can check with them, but I mean, I pay a whole heck of a lot of money every month.
Okay.
And I'll check with that tomorrow and see what's up with that.
Okay. Anyone have any questions for Mr. Hernandez?
I guess Greg, that's why I was a question about the storage shed. You plan to keep that and rehab that, and the tree, remove it as well?
Well, that storage shed is not mine.
Oh,
That's the previous renters. And I prefer just for them to remove it.
Okay.
It's just one of those inexpensive, cheap
Wouldn't take much.
tin sheds.
All right.
They could probably just drag away to their place that they live at now.
Okay.
As far as that dead tree, That could very easily be, removed, and I can get somebody on that, in the next month or two. Hopefully, when the leaves start falling, by then it may be a little bit easier to get access to that area, as well as, once they remove that tin shed, it'd be easier to pull it over there and let it fall where it may. Since there's no power lines over in that area right now, it should have no problem as far as bringing it down.
When was the fire at this structure?
I think she had said it was the February. I thought it was more toward early spring, but,
Of 2014?
yeah.
Or- okay.
Yeah, 2014, this year.
Okay. Other questions or comments? Are there other comments from the public during this public hearing? And Wendy, do you want to go ahead and?
Yeah, I think in this case, given the length of time and certainly the continued same ownership, my suggestion to you is that to go ahead and still condemn the structure. It gives them 10 days to start, which would include the demolition cleanup work, so that would be fine. Currently, the resolution calls for work to be completed in 60. I'd sure like to see all that gutting done within that 60 days that he's indicated tonight that he can do, so that we have firm bids to see if they still want to move forward with that plan. You know, by gutting and cleaning up the property and inside the structure is not certainly going to be any kind of a problem if we go to a bid at some point in the future, because that just helps. What our interest really is that before anyone invests in a structure that needs this kind of repairs that we know right now, is that it not become something that they don't see coming, and that's really why he needs to gut it out, and it's probably sound advice from the contractors that he be sure that they can see everything that there is to be seen there, so that the estimates for repair are clear and something that he wants to do. So Bob and I were talking back there that you could probably, the suggestion would be to make that work start within 10 days, and that at the 120-day mark, we have an ending point unless serious progress is gone. In that first 60 days, we would expect then, based on the testimony tonight, to see that the structure would be gutted out. We would need to inspect it at the point that he has completed that work, so that we can ascertain that that has in fact happened and report back that it has. And then towards the nuisance things, personally, I'd like to see that all resolved in 30 days. That puts us in ahead of the holidays, and then we're not stuck with it clear till April or May, which is what would happen if it doesn't get sorted out right now.
Weather.
Because, you know, tires and those kinds of things are harborages, and we just need to have them gone. If they haven't come back since February, I'm sure your attorney would give you some latitude with the fact that they've now maybe abandoned it. Or certainly abandon it. But in the meantime, that would give him some additional time, but yet still have a time on the clock, so that we are not still doing something about it in some length of time. But he would have an opportunity to get the information he has. I'm sorry he got the advice he did. My advice to him would have been that he start the demolition work at that time, because it took us 60 days to get to this point, and we could have had a lot more information today. But in the meantime, we can give him an opportunity to get in there and get that information, and yet have a completion point still targeting in there, or an ability to see that a lot of progress is made in that 120 days, including at that point, we need to see improvements being made to the structure to solve the ultimate ability to occupy it. It'd be great if that's a place that Mr. Handis chooses to live in, because obviously then hopefully he'd make great investments in it. So we'd like to see that in that neighborhood.
Any other comments?
Can I ask a question?
Yes, can you step to the mic, please, just because it makes it easier for everyone to hear?
Now, 30 days to clean up the area, 60 days to completely gut it, and 120 days to make sure that everything's.
That you're
go
starting on
on.
your repairs.
Oh, absolutely,
So
absolutely.
that 30 and 60 need to be overlapping.
Oh, yeah. I
So we're
understand
talking
that.
60 days.
It's not a 90
Yeah,
total.
yeah.
To get your bids and estimates, and then we can talk again
Oh,
when we
yeah.
do an inspection.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Because as you say, once you really don't know exactly costs
Yeah,
until you
exactly,
get it gutted, and
exactly.
then you can get better estimates.
I get a better firm.
Yes, for
firm
sure,
bids
so.
then, and be able to come before you guys and let you
Okay.
know what exactly is happening.
Okay. So are there any further comments? Then I will go ahead and close this public hearing, and we will go ahead and move to item 18.
A resolution to condemn an unsafe and dangerous single-family residence and accessory structure located at 935 East 9th in the city of Ottawa, Kansas.
This resolution authorizes the governing body to declare the single-family residence and accessory structure located at 935 East 9th to be unsafe or dangerous, and to direct that such structure be demolished or repaired and made safe and secure, as we have just discussed. Do I have a motion?
Madam Mayor,
Commissioner?
I move to adopt the resolution with the timeframes that Ms. Lee had indicated.
Pointed, okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the resolution as stated in 19, item 18 with the timeframes that we have discussed. Is there any discussion?
You know, I'd like to say that, I mean, I don't believe personally that we are in the business as commissioners and actually as citizens to tear down housing.
Right.
And we certainly want to see if any house can be salvaged and saved and be made a happy home. We certainly want to see that happen. So I wish you well on doing that. I really want to see, I want to drive by this location in a couple weeks, and I think that will happen. So I appreciate your willingness to try that.
And while we're going through the process of fixing the house, if there's something that comes up that maybe is not being addressed at this moment, then we can address them then, can we? as far as-
Yes, you will be working with the Planning and Codes Department with Mrs. Lee and her staff to handle any of those situations.
Okay.
And then they just keep us abreast of progress that's being made. You won't have to keep coming back to this meeting.
Okay,
So.
Well, okay, sounds good.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Greg.
Okay, could we have a vote, please?
How do you vote, Commissioner Skidmore?
Yes.
Commissioner Jorgensen?
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Kaler?
Yes.
Mayor Reed?
I vote yes, motion passes. And thank you very much, Mr. Hernandez. That will move us to item 19.
A public hearing for the purpose of considering condemnation of a single-family residence and accessory structure on the property located at 619 South Elm.
This public hearing has been called for the consideration of the condemnation of a single-family home and accessory structure located at 619 South Elm. City staff will present the details of this particular request for condemnation, and I will open the public hearing. I don't think I closed the other one.
Okay, this structure hasn't suffered a fire, so just to be clear, it's the only one on the list tonight. This structure, however, is not new to action by the city in that we removed a carriage house here approximately a year ago. The first letter was sent to the property owners in June, then a follow-up in August and September. We haven't had any response to those communications. The structure's only been vacated since June. It was occupied before that. Taxes are delinquent since 2011. We believe a remodel might have been begun. There was no permit issued for it, so we're not really certain. And it could have been work that was going on while they were occupying it as well. The conditions here are the full list of A through L that we've discussed earlier with other properties tonight. We have had communication from neighbors who've expressed concern about the structure and its effect in their neighborhood. The foundation around the house has suffered some deterioration and may not be giving the structure the support that it should have. It's a large structure, as you know, if you've driven by. Also has some additional cracks and some walls that are moving, could be in combination with other things happening on the interior of the home. Don't believe that we've been in this home to give you additional photos, but we believe that action needs to be taken. Again, as we've said with the others, we're happy if someone's prepared to step up and repair the structure. We just want to put a time frame on it so that we can see some action taken, because we haven't had any this year towards resolution of this structure. So that's where we are with that.
And just for clarification, Mrs. Lee, you have not heard from the owners about this?
No, we have not. Had not when we put the file together, and the staff that we have on hand have not heard from anybody since that time either.
So do we have any public comments for this hearing, this property? Any comments on this property at 619 South Elm. Final call for comments in this public hearing for the property at 619 South Elm. Okay, I will go ahead and close the public hearing, and at this time, we will move to item number 20.
A resolution to condemn an unsafe and dangerous single-family residence and accessory structure located at 619 South Elm in the city of Ottawa, Kansas.
And this resolution authorizes the governing body to declare the single-family residence and accessory structure located at 619 South Elm to be unsafe or dangerous, and to direct that such structure be demolished or repaired and made safe and secure. And I would entertain a motion.
Madam Mayor,
Commissioner,
I move that we approve the resolution for 619 South Elm.
is there a second?
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the resolution. Is there any discussion? If not, could we have the vote, please?
How do you vote, Commissioner Jorgensen?
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Kaler?
Yes.
Commissioner Skidmore?
Yes.
Mayor Reed?
I vote yes, motion passes. Thank you very much. Item 21.
An ordinance amending Article 27, sign regulations.
Amendment to Article 27, Section 27-401, dealing with electronic message center signs. And we are really working Mrs. Lee hard this evening.
That's okay. Should have sat a little closer. Actually, I guess we can get rid of that. This body, along with a member of the public, occurred about the same time, asked that we reconsider our regulations around electronic message center signs. Until any action tonight, electronic message center signs, the scrolling message center signs are fairly restricted to institutional locations or time and temp. This amendment that is recommended to you by the Planning Commission and a vote 4 or 5 to 0, they recommend to you that we allow that an electronic message center would be permitted in the C1 and C2 and C3 districts. That's really all of our commercial districts except downtown and then the mixed-use districts where there would potentially be additional uses there. So these are the three primary commercial districts, C3 being the largest of our commercial districts. That would include corners like 9th and Main, 15th and Main, and then the C3 really is everything that's south of 15th and Main. It's what's out at K68, it's North Main. Those are kind of more our C3 areas. The rest of the regulations here, there was only 2 other changes. Currently, the scrolling message as it comes onto the screen that it's displayed on and exits, we had said that the minimum message time was 3 seconds. We actually did an experiment with this at the Walgreens sign, and we found that it was very, very hard to read a 3-second message. And since part of what we're trying to do here is make it easy for people to see the message and yet still not be so distracted or feel the need to turn around and go around a couple of times. The recommendation was to move that to 5 seconds. So I would tell you that from talking with the Walgreens manager, they're going to stay between 10 and 20 because they think that just gives people an opportunity to glance up, glance down, glance up, glance down, and still be able to read the same message. And then the last change, and then we recommend removing a line because we found that it really served no purpose, and that was a transition timeline that required that no transition be more than 2 seconds and less than 0.3, and we just didn't see the purpose of measuring to that minuscule amount. And then the last change was that if an electronic message center is located in or within 150 feet of a residentially zoned district, it has a time constraint. Previously, it said 200 feet. And when we looked at some existing signs and how they were placed, we really felt 150 was an adequate distance. So they recommended, in essence, softening these regulations to allow signs in more locations, a little bit longer time on the message, and that the distance requiring message centers to be turned off be reduced. Any questions?
Are there any questions at all for Mrs. Lee?
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Then I would entertain a motion.
Madam Mayor,
Commissioner,
I move that we approve the ordinance amending Article 27 sign regulations.
is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the ordinance to amend Article 27, Section 27401. Is there any discussion? Do we have the vote, please?
How do you vote? Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Kaler?
Yes.
Commissioner Skidmore?
Yes.
Commissioner Jorgensen?
Yes.
Mayor Reed?
I vote yes, motion passes. Thank you. Item 22,
Stormwater GIS contract.
Utilities Department has contracted with Midland GIS Solutions for mapping services of stormwater inlets, manholes, junction boxes, and outfalls. They will also provide elevations and pipe locations for buried lines. The cost will be $59,400 and would be completed in 2015, and our city manager will address this.
I am Bill Ramsey tonight.
Hello, Mr. Ramsey.
I feel pretty good. They're letting me handle some things up here at the podium. As you said, we're doing a major GIS project throughout the city, and somehow stormwater got left off of that. So we talked to the people doing the stormwater contract, Midland, and they gave us this price, $59,400 to do mapping. It will map inlets, it will map where all of our stormwater system is, so we have that. And the end, and the big picture here, the end picture is that we will have people out in the field, or you can be sitting there on your iPad, and we may be talking about a particular project in town, and we're out taking a look at it. And eventually, what we hope is we'll be able to bring that up, being the 21st century, and look at the map right there on your iPad or your laptop out in the field. Reason it's on your agenda is because this would come out of the Stormwater Fund. We want the public to know that that's what that fund was created for. It is a new fund, so I think it's important that we talk about that publicly and have a public record of that those stormwater fees are paying. This is the type of project that it pays for. At the present time, we have a project on our levee to do some repairs so we can finish up the certification, but our recommendation is that you approve this.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Neinstedt before he?
So this isn't in the budget right now?
It is in, let me, Scott's standing in back of me. He had two department heads said they made a mistake. No, I don't want to do that. So. But I would tell you that we have a budget for stormwater, and we have budgeted expenditures in there under contractual, and this would be contractual. But I would say there is budget authority.
That would be correct, and I just checked on that. While we will exceed our contractual budget, we have plenty of budget authority that we can move up to, that we have about $270,000 of budget authority available in that fund, and about that same amount of available cash on hand to take care of this.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So
City Manager
go ahead.
Neinstedt, do we currently have any mapping of our inlets, manholes, junction boxes, and outfalls?
You know, Commissioner Kaler, I would tell you yes. I think we do. I know we do. But it's physical mapping, and it likely
Nothing in an
is-
electronic form?
It is not in electronic form.
Okay.
So what we want to do is move towards electronic.
Sure. And then tell me, for, again, Joe Citizen who may be listening today, what does GIS stand for?
It stands for,
What does the acronym stand for? I'm sorry.
Global information.
Global Information Systems.
Okay.
It's actually by satellite, right? It's actually done by satellite. You go out there with this instrument, and you stand there, and you get this globally placed, it's given a coordinate. So you have that, so you know that it's from this coordinate to this coordinate. So thank you very much for that question, Commissioner.
I hear your sincerity.
Any other Stump the Manager questions this evening? Thank you, Richard. Okay.
It's a good question because we work with acronyms every day.
We do.
We tend to throw them around like everybody understands that, so that was a very good question.
Yeah, that is absolutely true. Thank you for that. Okay, then at this time, I would entertain a motion.
Madam Mayor, I would make the motion that we approve the stormwater GIS contract as
Is-
mentioned in number, where are we at, number 22.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
It has been moved and seconded to accept the stormwater GIS contract. Is there any discussion? We have the vote, please.
How do you vote? Commissioner Kaler,
Yes.
Commissioner Skidmore,
Yes.
Commissioner Jorgensen,
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson,
Yes.
Mayor Reed.
I vote yes, motion passes. Item 23, please.
Recommendation for bid award on Logan Street Sidewalk Project.
Mr. Neinstedt will report on the bids received and recommendation for the construction of a sidewalk on the north side of Logan from Main to Spruce. Accessibility ramps were installed with the last street rehab project, and this project then will fill in the missing pieces of sidewalk that are needed.
As you'll remember, Commissioners, I hope the public does, we took a look at this last year. We took bids on this last year. It exceeded at the time what we had budgeted or what we had available to pay, so we delayed the project. When we did our major project this summer, we have money in there for this type of thing along Logan Street. So we thought it was an opportune time to take advantage of that and get the sidewalk constructed on Logan from those points so that we'd have another part of our pedestrian and walkability system taken care of. So how are we going to pay for this? Well, there's two ways we can pay for this. What we want to do is have it come out of the bond money because that's probably that's what's appropriate. And Bill and Scott and I had a discussion earlier this week, and Scott had a discussion with Dottie Riley about how to get that done, and we need to do some amending of the original resolution, so you're going to see that get done. If we don't do it that way, we do have money in special highway because we haven't, our street program this year was out of the bond proceeds, and we didn't use it out of special highway. But my preference is to go ahead and use it out of the bond proceeds because we need to use that up.
Mr. Neinstedt, do you have the low bid with you or the results of that actual bid?
I do
project?
have the low bid with me. We received 3 bids. The engineer's estimate was $87,225. The low bid is Vintage Greenmark, which is $78,870. The next lowest bid was Quality Built Construction, $78,875.75. And then the last bid, which was the highest bid, was from Sunflower Paving, and it was $87,966.60. So it is a good thing that we came in under the engineer's estimate.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Mr. Neinstedt?
What is the time frame on when this project would get done? Would this be done this fall?
Yes. As soon as you approve this, in fact, I talked to the engineer today, and he said as soon as we approve that, they will get started.
Great, excellent. Any other questions?
Not any questions, but just a comment. Just like to thank you and staff for keeping the sidewalks in the forefront of your thoughts on how to accomplish these things. As you know, sidewalks and trails have been a special emphasis of this commission for the past several years. We've built several miles in the community over the last several years. So it's just thank you for keeping that in the forefront of your thoughts and planning.
Well, I appreciate that, Commissioner. Thank you very much. The staff does the heavy lifting. But we appreciate that the community supports this type of improvement. And we appreciate you stepping out there and exercising leadership and allowing us to visit with you about the opportunities that do come to the city of Ottawa so that we can accomplish improvements such as this.
Excellent. Okay, thank you. So at this time, I would entertain a motion to accept that bid.
Madam Mayor,
Commissioner.
I move that we approve the bid award for the Logan Street Sidewalk Project.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the low bid award for the Logan Street Sidewalk project. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, could we have the vote, please?
How do you vote, Commissioner Skidmore?
Yes.
Commissioner Jorgensen?
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Kaler?
Yes.
Mayor Reed?
I vote yes. Motion passes. One last actual business item, and that is item number 24.
An ordinance establishing an appropriate confinement period for any dog, cat, or ferret that has bitten a person or another animal within the city of Ottawa, Kansas.
This ordinance will make changes to Chapter 3, Section 2-209 of Municipal Code to reflect the Kansas State Guidelines, KAR 28-1-13, and Chief Butler will address this.
Good evening.
Hello.
Staff at the police department originally started reviewing this ordinance due to the issue of quarantining animals that had either bitten another animal or bitten a person. And in the past, we've had limited options on quarantining, usually at one of our local vets. The issue arose when occasionally an owner of one of those animals would walk away and not claim the animal, not pay the costs associated with the quarantine, and then the city would be left paying those fees. During our review of this matter, we discovered that the Prairie Paws Animal Shelter would be willing to provide those services. And as part of their offer, we determined that the cost would be substantially lower, not only for the dog owner, but should the city be responsible for the fees in the end, it would be about half, in some cases, maybe more or less costly. As part of this, we had to consult with the Franklin County Health Director, Dr. Midge Ransom, and the city attorney to make sure we were in compliance with state regulations concerning quarantining animals, and also making sure our local ordinance also reflected all of the state requirements, which it did not. So what you have before you is what we discussed at the work study on Monday evening. Also associated with this is an SOP, which is a standard operating procedure at the police department, which has more guidelines to guide our staff in consistent application of this statute if it's passed.
Right.
Do you have any questions?
The question that I would have for you this evening is the same question that I had for you at the study session. That if an individual were to choose to do a home quarantine, would there be an opportunity, or is there a requirement in which someone needs to actually go in and make sure that that quarantine is happening under the safe regulations that are set forward?
Under the state regulations, which are not listed in the same detail as the local ordinance, they are listed in more detail, but not in the local ordinance. There is a requirement that the animal be made available for inspection by the community services officer or the local health director. So that requirement does exist. It doesn't mean it will happen. It doesn't mean it'll happen 5 times during that 10-day quarantine period. But if the animal is allowed to be quarantined at home, there's very strict guidelines listed in the SOP that will be shared with the owner of the animal. The last benefit, and I think it was Commissioner Jorgensen mentioned this on Monday, that we really liked, is it increases the options available to owners of animals. It's not just quarantined at one vet in town. It can now be taken to Prairie Paws. It can be quarantined at home, or at their own vet, as long as the CSO, Community Services Officer, talks with that vet and makes sure the conditions meet state guidelines.
Right. Excellent.
Well, I particularly want to commend you in looking at these options, because I like the opportunity that although a pet may bite someone at some time, however, I never want to hear of an owner having to leave their pet behind simply because they cannot afford and they don't have it within their family budget to pay for that observation period or that observation cost. So if we can make that happen, we all know that there are way too many animals out there that are sitting at the shelter, and we certainly don't want another one to be there if it has a loving home that it can go back to.
And we completely agree with that, and that's why I'm glad we looked at this, because we did find a lot of other benefits that we did not anticipate. And it's just speculation on my part. We may actually have owners not walk away from their animals as often if the costs are lower, or if they can quarantine at home and there really isn't an increased cost for them. So that would be a good thing.
Great benefit, that's for sure. Any other comments or questions? Thank you very much, Chief.
Thank you.
Cutler.
Madam
Okay.
Mayor,
Yes.
I move to adopt the ordinance as described in item 24 of the agenda.
Is there a second?
Second that.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt the ordinance as stated in item 24. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, could we have the roll call vote, please?
How do you vote? Commissioner Jorgensen?
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Kaler?
Yes.
Commissioner Skidmore?
Yes.
Mayor Reed?
I vote yes, motion passes. Thank you very much. That moves us on to item 25, which is report by city manager.
Commissioners, next Tuesday is Veterans Day, so.
Mike?
Oh, your mic's not on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioners, next Tuesday is Veterans Day. 100 years ago, World War I started. And we've been in a lot of conflicts. We've had a lot of peacetime service in this nation. And we just went through an election that, while we all have different points of view on that election, several things did not happen. The transfer of power did not take place at the point of a gun or the point of a bayonet. And the transfer of power takes place in a democratic and peaceful manner, and that is accomplished because of the men and women who we have served this nation since our inception and who are currently serving this nation around the world at some very dangerous and desolate posts out there on our behalf. So let's remember our veterans always, but let's especially remember them next Tuesday and their opening ceremony, I believe this Friday evening down at Forest Park. And then there is a parade on Saturday, which will honor our veterans also. Okay? And next Wednesday night, just a reminder, we have our League of Kansas Municipalities. They are hosting the regional supper here. It will be at Ransom Memorial Hospital. That will be at 5:30 p.m. So if you can be there a little bit early, you can help greet, you can help host, and I don't believe we have done it in the 7 years I've been here, but I have hosted LKM and other communities I've been in, and it is an opportunity for us to showcase not only the facility, but how proud we are of our community. So, thank you very much.
Is that it, Richard? Okay, then we will move to reports by city commissioners. I'll start down here to my left with Commissioner Jorgensen.
Well, thank you. I just want to report, well, my wife thought it was appropriate that I report the reason why I have a shadow on my face. I am participating in this experiment, I guess, on my part, the No Shave November. And I watched this last year with Al Roker and Matt Lauer on NBC. The Today Show, and I thought that's kind of neat, but then when my brother challenged me to do it, I couldn't let that pass by, so I'm living up to his challenge. I saw him today, and my beard is much longer than his beard. But I guess I would further the challenge, and anybody that is listening to this, to participate in No Shave November. It is for cancer awareness, and men and women can participate. And so my wife tells me that she has not decided how she likes me with whiskers. I've been shaving for about 35 years, and so this is the first time that I've tried growing whiskers on my face. So we'll see how the experiment works out and whether or not she likes it if I still have whiskers in December.
So, Commissioner, Mayor, may I quiz Commissioner? So let me ask this. If your staff started looking scrubby in November, you all are giving permission for that?
That's exactly right. Yep.
Male and female alike?
That's exactly right.
Well.
How
Okay.
you talk.
Commissioner Skidmore, you're up.
I will not accept that challenge, and Mike assures me, go ahead.
And we can have, like, at the end of November, we can have pictures taken.
There you go.
Let's try
There
it.
you go.
Commissioner Jorgensen assures me he didn't sleep in his car last night. I thought he had, by the way he looked, but anyway, it is for a good cause, so I'll say that. I do want to echo Richard's comments about Veterans Day, mention two names, E.V. Skidmore and Dr. John Thornburg. The first one is my father. He served in the Air Force many years ago, and so I'm thankful for his service. And Dr. Thornburg is my father-in-law, and he served in the Army in the European theater. He was captured as a POW during the Battle of the Bulge, and was in a POW camp for 6 months before he was able to escape. And had it not been for that escape, I may not have married the woman I married and be sitting here a single man, a lonely man. So I'm thankful for that very much, that for these two men and the example they set for me. There's a part of me that regrets not having served in that capacity, and maybe that's what drives me to serve in this capacity now, in some way of service. But I just want to mention those two names and thank those two men. My father passed away several years ago, but Dr. Thornburg is 91, is living in Kansas City and still with us and very healthy, and I'm very proud of both of those men.
Great, thank you. Okay, Commissioner Kaler, are you going to shave?
Anyway, so I'd like to begin my comments by saying, and I could get this wrong, but I really am so glad that you brought forward your employee in Wang, right?
That's
Great.
correct.
And so I really do want to welcome her. And what a great thing that we could actually highlight that tonight. And I loved her comments. And I hope that everyone who's watching this kind of goes back to the beginning and listens to her comments about how exciting it was for her to vote for the first time and how welcome she has felt in this community. And I think we should celebrate that and remember that every single day, that we can be just a little bit of sunshine in everyone's day. And I'm sure that she is, for not only for you every day, but it sounds like for the rest of this community. I want to thank the Internal Leadership Academy, who actually was part of our special call meeting that we had on Monday afternoon. And they put on some really great ideas for us to think about. I don't know if the other commissioners have, but I have read through all their proposals again, and I'm really impressed with the internal leadership that we have going on here in the city of Ottawa, and I think we don't celebrate it nearly enough, so I do appreciate all that they are doing. Next, I want to thank my favorite veteran. It's kind of a thing we're doing here, and that would be my very dearest friend, Danielle's husband is a newly retired just a year ago. We were actually there for his retirement. Todd Cagle and they actually are just north of Dallas. So we will see them at Thanksgiving, and we'll be able to give them a hug and tell them thank you for all that he did. He spent many tours abroad, so we appreciate all that he did, and every veteran, what they've done. And then lastly, oftentimes as a commissioner, and I know commissioners sitting up here, you find yourself going to meetings and celebrations and other activities out in the community, and you really do. You're out there celebrating the community and highlighting the community, and quite often I have two little girls that are with me when we go to those celebrations, and this month actually just a few days apart marks both of their birthdays. And so before our next meeting, both of them will have birthdays, so I want to celebrate them for just a quick minute. So my daughters Ava and Amelia, happy birthday to them, coming very soon.
Great. Okay, good job. Commissioner.
I have a couple notes here. Tonight I have one of my Kansas City shirts on. Since our last meeting, the Royals did compete competed in the World Series, and we got within 90 feet of the World Series. But for the first time in my entire life, that was the closest we've come as a regional sports teams to that. So that was very exciting to have finally be able to participate with my teams, and I was excited about that. Something else that we have done since our last meeting is all the commissioners and our city manager were able to go to our conference. We mentioned our league, and sometimes conferences can be seen as just another way to get out of town or way to spend money, but I don't think that this conference for us has been that. I think we all learned something, and I see value in sending our staff to conferences that really benefit them as well. It makes our city better. It connects us with businesses and organizations that their services provide great things to our community. So I just wanted to point that out. Nobody mentioned the temporary notes that we were working on tonight. Belinda did mention that it's a very memorable thing. It's one more step towards our community continuing to develop. And so I think there are exciting things going on, and I think we'll continue to see that. As far as some things with the housing tonight that we've dealt with, I feel like this is exactly how it's supposed to happen. A lot of times we ask, why are we doing these hearings? And it is to move our communities and our neighborhoods forward. And sometimes there are properties that need some changes, so it was good to see some of the property owners here, and hopefully we can see some of those move forward. And finally, last thing, if you haven't been along the trail lately, along between 9th and 11th, the Play Task Force has created some tire play pods, and get over there and play on them. Even if you're an adult, you can climb. I want to see the Herald and KOFO out there. You guys can go try them out and tell us what you think. My little guy's been out there and been throwing dirt clods and climbing up and down, so I think that they get the support of the community. So just want to point those out. That's one more great things. Those are easy things to reuse, old tires that we can, if kids can play on them anyways, but make them a safe way to do that.
Yeah,
So that's all I have.
Thank you very much. And I'm just going to build on that comment from Commissioner Dickinson. Week before last, I was able to tag along with a delegation from the Play Task Force in Ottawa. Wendy Lee went, Fonda Rose, who's the chair of that task force, Doug Reinert, who is our Parks Director, and Tommy Sink from the Recreation Center, or ORC, was able to go. And we were only one of 12 cities throughout the whole nation that was invited to present our big idea and our great plans for more play in the city of Ottawa. And they used Ottawa as a national, in a national press release, our IT department and our Play Task Force. And so it was something that we were extremely proud of, and came back very, very motivated just to continue working on the things that we've been working on in this community for the last years. And it's very, very exciting to see that moving forward. So along with that as well, one of the things they talked about is at the other conference we were at for the League of Kansas Municipalities, was he asked us to think about what things are you building in your community that it will be worth preserving 50 years from now, that your kids are going to want to fight to preserve. Well, land purchase for industrial park is a huge, huge thing that this city will be very proud of in some years down the road, and many years down the road. We will look back and know that this was a major stepping stone in moving our community forward. So, and again, I just want to thank everyone for voting yesterday as well. My father was a World War II veteran that actually fought in the Philippines, so that I have that connection as well, and helped create some freedom over there in the Philippines during that war. And so that means a lot to me as well, and I appreciate the fact that people are able to get out and vote, and did that, and did their duty. So you have your announcements there on the agenda in front of you, and nothing in particular there other than the things that Mr. Neinstedt talked about with the Veterans Day Parade. The city offices will be closed on Veterans Day. We do have our special call meeting with our League Regional Supper at the hospital on the 17th, or I'm sorry, on the 12th. And with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I so move.
Is there a second? So moved and seconded to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you very much.
All right.